What's going on, everyone? It is the Derp. You guys have been asking me for a new Arc Titan build that features this season's premier weapons, and I think I've got a good one for you guys. We take advantage of the artifact. We bring in a fan favorite of Stronghold gauntlets, and we pair it all up with a dual siphon mod, as well as a bow. Yes, you heard me correctly. A bow that is legendary and yet so exotically tiered for maximum damage and carnage. We're going to go through it. We're going to dissect it. Bring the game down to your speed with this Titan build while also speeding up your ability to just absolutely wreck the battlefield. This build is extremely fun. I had a lot of fun making this. Hopefully you guys like it. Let's get on into it. Here we go. So getting us started on the first of what will be hopefully many Arc Titan builds that I'll be getting into this season. We're going to go with Fists of Havoc. Quickly charge forward, dealing damage to any impacted targets, or slam your fist to the ground, blinding targets and dealing damage in an area around you, leaving aftershocks in your wake. Performing a slam from the air deals additional damage. This is going to be key because since it is a roaming super, you're going to get increased super regen just by dealing damage with the rest of the build. For abilities, we're going to go with Rally Barricade, which we're going to be using frequently. I prefer the Strafe Lift. Thunderclap is my go-to no matter what. And I prefer the Flashbang Grenade because, again, of its blinding ability, I can chuck this out from behind my barricade, blind the enemies in front of me, continue either mowing them down or focusing on any bosses that might be in front of me. For aspects, first up on the list is going to be Touch of Thunder. Your Flashbang, Pulse, Lightning, and Storm Grenades have enhanced functionality. Our Flashbang Grenade, in this case, emits an additional blinding flash on bounce, which of course is key for dealing with unstoppable champs. Also, if we have bolt charges maxed out at this point, we will be able to deal additional damage with just our measly little Flashbang Grenade. That's why I love it. Next up is going to be Storm's Keep. Cast your class ability to grant a moderate amount of bolt charge stacks to you and nearby allies. While behind your barricade, you and allies gain stacks of bolt charge over time, and your weapons can discharge max stacks of bolt charge. So that's what we're going to be using our main weapons for. Of course, you guys know that I am a fan of mixing and matching weapons with this style of play, and this is going to be no different here. For Fragments, Spark Frequency is up on the first of the list. Melee hits increase your equipped weapon's reload speed and stability for a short duration, while amplified, the effects are increased and you gain increased stacks of bolt charge from all sources. That includes your flashbang, your super, and of course your melee. Spark of Brilliance is next up on the list. Defeating a blinded target with precision damage creates a blinding explosion. Plus 10 to super, which I love and I will gladly take. We are going to be dealing a lot of precision damage because of the type of weapons that we have as our main ad clear weapons. Next up is going to be Spark of Ions. Defeating a jolted target or defeating a target with bolt charge creates an ionic trace. We're going to be generating a lot of ionic traces, which means we're going to have virtually unlimited ability uptime throughout any kind of battle we might be in. Last up is going to be Spark of Amplitude. Rapidly defeating targets while you are amplified creates an orb of power. You should be amplified theoretically constantly with this build. So we're going to be generating additional orbs of power on top of our weapons and abilities. For stat distribution, I recommend speccing into Super, Grenade, and weapons in that order. You want to have a moderate amount of class ability energy. You see I'm at a T5, just under a T6. And yes, I understand that melee is down to a T5. That's okay. My Thunderclap is not really something that I'm going to heavily rely on from behind a barricade. It's more of a, hey, I've got it. Why don't I just use it? That's how I approach it with this style of play. Also, the fact that I don't have tier 5 gear in this build kind of takes away from what your stats could theoretically be, depending on how far you level up. Again, I'm not a Titan main by nature. I do love to spec into Titan from time to time. I just don't spend as much time with Titan as I probably should, because every time I come back to Titan, I'm like, man, I really should spend a lot more time with my character. But you know how it goes. Sometimes you just can't devote yourself to 3 different things at once equally. As far as what those stats are going to translate into, your weapons are going to get an additional 12.8% damage and 8.5% reload and handling. Your super, of course, is going to regenerate at 190%, and as that goes higher, you'll deal additional damage. And your grenade ability, you see 42 seconds is the base cooldown. We're going to be getting that down hopefully to 30 seconds or maybe even 15 with orb pickup. For weapons, I'm going to start with this bow. Preastianix the Fourth. You can only get this from running Pinnacle Ops, and I've got a ridiculous roll. Incandescent in the third column and Burning Ambition in the fourth column. This can only mean one thing. This is the legendary solar version of Le Monarque, which means you can sit comfortably behind your barricade, scorch targets that are beefier, take your time mowing them down, and then once you're done, you're going to spread Scorch to any targets that are around. That makes this a weapon that you can use to proc ignitions, as well as spread fire all over the battlefield. And you're going to look really cool doing it because you're going to get occasional lightning strikes if you're firing this thing from behind your barricade. If you have not farmed for a good Preastianix the Fourth roll, this is the god roll, so to speak. Getting Incandescent and getting Burning Ambition. It is the only weapon in the game that can roll with those in either column. In the kinetic slot, we're going to be going with Wicked Implement. Now, we can switch this out for whatever you want. If you want a faster firing weapon, you can roll with Outbreak. If you want a special ammo weapon, Aegir Scepter, of course, is going to fit the bill here. We want to try to spec into Stasis first, because we're going to pair it with a dual siphon mod. So I think Wicked Implement, which is good for dealing sustained damage and having unlimited ammo. I'm not a fan of having double kinetic weapons in your energy and primary ammo slot. But Aegir Scepter from behind the barricade is going to do ridiculous damage. I have videos from the previous season regarding this, but we can spec into this further later on in the season. If you guys want, let me know in the comments. In the heavy slot, we're going to be going with Aurora Dawn. This is going to pair with our exotic armor. We are going to be rolling with Flash Counter. That is the perk to have on any sword, but specifically this sword. And then Cold Steel. Powered sword hits slow targets and improves ammo capacity. So if you manage to get these enhanced like I do, your ammo capacity by default is going to be about 68. You can beef that up with a backup mag mod if you want, but I really don't think that's going to be necessary. We're not going to worry about endurance, so Burst Guard is going to be the play here, and then you always want to have Hungry Edge. For our armor, we're going to go with Stronghold. I have done a bunch of builds on this, and in this season, Stronghold is arguably even stronger and more fun than last season because of Aurora Dawn. Clench Fist maximizes guard stats on equipped swords. You take reduced damage while blocking with the sword. Rapidly damage targets after blocking shots with a sword. Grants restoration for a duration determined by the number of shots blocked. So rolling around with your guard up. You've heard me talk about this many times, but my goal is to take the heat off of my allies or to absorb an extra amount of heat if I'm dealing with particularly feisty enemies. We'll use that term. No, I don't have this fitted into an archetype, but the archetype that I would want this fitted into is going to be the Specialist archetype, which is going to boost my class, my weapon, and my health, ideally, when running around with this. For the rest of the armor, go ahead and spec into whatever general armor mod that you need. In the helmet, make sure you put your heavy ammo finder on. Go ahead and throw on the thermodynamic siphon because we're going to be rolling with solar and stasis in this build. And I like to do powerful friends just as a thank you to the guys that are sitting behind the barricade with me. Any orb of power I create increases their armor charge by 1, which increases overall carnage. In the gauntlets, go ahead and put on your heavy-handed, firepower, and fastball. I got spaced for a second because I realized that you don't have the additional artifice slot when you reshape this into an archetype, so that threw me for a loop. But that's what I spec'd into for this. Heavy-handed and firepower, of course, is going to give you orbs of power, and I want to be able to chuck my flashbang grenade as far as possible from behind my barricade because I'm a coward, and that's going to give me the ability to do so. For the chest, go ahead and spec into 2 damage resistance mods. Make sure you throw on your stasis ammo generation mod so that you can get additional ammo for your sword virtually at any time. Put on Innervation, Invigoration, and Absolution for your legs. That way, any orb of power that you pick up will inevitably give you a ridiculous amount of ability energy back. And class, font, distribution, and bomber, probably what I would spec into for the class item, although you could make an argument for putting on Reaper instead of distribution because we're going to be sitting behind our barricade anyways. So just something to think about. Maybe I'll just leave that on here for the sake of this video. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make this what I attribute to the dim link when you guys see that in the description. For the artifact, go ahead and put on Anti-Barrier Scout and Pulse because they're going to be rolling with either Wicked Implement and or Outbreak Perfected. You could throw on Unstoppable Siren and Hand Cannon if you have that in the kinetic slot, or possibly the Overload Rapid Fire in the kinetic slot. But remember, we're going to be able to handle all 3 champs with this build anyways, so realistically the only thing you need is the Anti-Barrier Scout and Pulse. In the second column, Flame, Fiber, and Freeze, 1 with Frost, and Rapid Precision Rifling. Definitely all 3 are needs with this build. Refreshing Threads and Fever and Chill are definitely the ones you want to spec into for this build as well, because we're going to be dealing with rapid precision solar hits as well as stasis hits. In the fourth column, Cauterized Darkness and Elemental Coalescence. Defeating targets has a chance to create an elemental pickup matching your equipped super element. It does not matter what elemental weapon you use, you're going to generate ionic traces. In the fifth column, I go back and forth on whether or not I want Radiant Shrapnel. I think I do because dealing sustained weapon damage while Radiant or defeating a Scorch combatant with a weapon causes the target to release solar projectiles that deal damage and scorch and impact. I like this better than Frigid Glare, but you guys can let me know in the comments which one works better for you from sitting behind that barricade with your Wicked Implement. I go back and forth, but I think Radiant Shrapnel is definitely the way to go. Next up, we've got Shield Crush. While you have Woven Mail, Frost Armor, or Avoid Overshield, your melee recharges faster. We're going to have Frost Armor with our Wicked Implement. And then, of course, while you are Amplified or Radiant, your Grenade recharges faster and deals additional damage. We're going to be Radiant and Amplified constantly with this build because we're going to be using our Pre-Astyanics to deal with most of the adds. So one of the main reasons I think you should try this build is, well, Arc Titan has been a fan favorite all of last season because of the buffs that we got to it, but it's even better now because of this bow right here. With the ability to spread Scorch as well as inflict Scorch on a target and then eventually call down your lightning strikes with Bolt Charge and deal ignition damage when you deal enough Scorch stacks. This is an absolute ridiculous build to jump into with this bow. True, you're not rapid firing this like you would Tommy's Matchbook or maybe Amit or, any number of weapons that can prog incandescent, but that's not why we're doing this. Everyone crowded around Le Monarque last season because of its tick damage that it could do. This bow, not only is it legendary, so it frees up your exotic to do virtually whatever you want in the kinetic slot, but it can pair with Bolt Charge, inflict Scorch damage, and you can run around with it in the same respect as you did with Le Monarque without taking up an exotic slot. Keep in mind, if you get higher tier rolls of this with these perk combos and you get a pretty decent draw time, mine's at 662. It's not the greatest. It could be a little bit lower. But look at that accuracy. That rivals Wish Ender. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of reasons to pick this build. Of course, Stronghold with Aurora Dawn is going to be fun in higher end activity. Wicked Implement is just fun to use in general. You could pair it with Outbreak Perfected as far as the Stronghold and the Arc Titan build in general. But overall, this is an extremely strong build. And again, look at my power level. It's pathetically low at 204. I haven't spent a lot of time with my Titan as I would like, but when you pair these 3 weapons together, or maybe pick whatever you want, it's not going to matter. This bow is what makes Arc Titan awesome this season, and if you haven't gotten this yet, it's something to definitely grind for. Again, you can only get it from Pinnacle Ops. Once you get it, though, go ahead and mess around with it in the firing range or in the shooting range. Go ahead and mess around with it in your favorite strike or planet, and then take it into, let's just take it into Expert Ops. So you know the enemies are relatively, strong-ish. And then once you get higher tier gear so that your stats are a little bit better and you jump into that first master or maybe that tiered expert fire team op where you're going to need a fire team and all that, this is going to rival, anything that you put out there. Oh, and by the way, if the pre-Astyanax and the ability to proc frost armor isn't going to be enough for you, add to the fact that you can run around and take the heat off your allies with Stronghold as a backup to this build overall. So if you did find anything helpful in this video, please consider liking and subscribing. If you know a guardian out there who's looking for a great Arc Titan build and doesn't even know about pre-Astyanax yet, having those two perks available and it will give them something to farm for, go ahead and send this video to them or send them my way. My goal is to help as many people as possible. As always, I will have a dim link in the description, and if by chance you are looking for a non-toxic gaming community, make sure you hop into my Discord. Everyone is on the proverbial power grind right now, and it's awesome to see all these people coming together, just helping Guardians, helping Guardians, helping Guardians. So thanks to my Discord for being able to help me offer that as a resource and a tool for people who may have been solo, but maybe would like some additional help to get through some of these different difficulties in the Edge of Fate. Yeah. So I'm going to switch over to the boss battle. This is not a speedy boss battle, and I'm going to preface it by saying that, but the idea behind it is you can take your time, still get through everything, and I'm going to let you watch pre-Astyanax work. So here we go, boss battle now. I am standing behind this barricade just to kind of show you guys the process. Is this as fast drawing as the Monarque or maybe some other bows out there? No. I didn't get the greatest roll in terms of draw time. So as I go through my proverbial leveling grind, if I get better draw time rolls of this with these two perks on the bow, then yeah, I'll be switching this out for something a little bit quicker. But you guys get the idea. When you are pinned down as an Arc Titan, you have just a barrage of options of how you want to build your Arc Titan, but this bow is a theoretical game changer. Add to that the fact that you can put your exotic in whatever slot that you want. Theoretically, I guess you could put an exotic in your heavy slot, such as like the Lament, if you wanted to actually build into this and just run with a legendary in the kinetic, or maybe something else that deals with champs. But Pro-Astyanax the Fourth, and yes, I'm going to keep calling it that, even though it's it's kind of a word jumble to say, is the first of its kind. And I'm really hoping that Bungie specs into this idea of being able to pair multiple things together. We saw that kind of come to light with destabilizing rounds and the change to how the perk functions overall. That was the first of its kind with the bows that it comes on. Really, before that, all we had was Le Monarque. So what is next? We can speculate wildly, hopefully, because we still have Strand to talk about. We still have, Stasis to talk about. Heck, we even still have Arc to talk about. Could you imagine this build with an Arc bow that does exactly that? I don't know. Maybe we'll be talking about that in the future. But anyways, I hope you guys like this build. I hope you guys see the utility in the build. Let me know in the comments what you think. I will see you guys next time. Take care.